Now at 11, going to the hospital and leaving with COVID. New details about an outbreak at Peace Health in Vancouver, sickening patients and staff. Plus, an unsettling sound in Depot Bay. Emergency sirens had some fearing a tsunami was headed their way. Plus, Mayor Wheeler vowing to crack down on violent protesters in the new year. More on his calls for tougher penalties.
This is KGW News at 11.
You can just hear those powerful waves pounding the Oregon coast. This was the view in Depot Bay, and in Newport, high winds rocking our sky cam overlooking Yaquina Bay. An advisory still in effect there tonight. Good evening, and thanks for staying up with us. I'm Brittany Folkers. It was a wet, windy start to the weekend, and it is not done yet. So let's go right to Chris McGinnis. And Chris, hundreds of people along the central Oregon coast are without power tonight. Those winds are just really whipping out there.
Yeah, it is a windy night, especially along the central Oregon coast right now. That live picture from Yaquina Bay, you can see it bopping around in the breeze. Sustained winds greater than 40 miles an hour. But as we check out the gust map, check this out. Okay, Cape Foul weather, yeah, that's up at elevation, but 80 plus miles an hour. The shot that we just showed you there, the Yaquina Bay Bridge in the background, the ODOT sensor on the north end of that bridge clocking a gust just a few minutes ago to 69 miles an hour. Yachats coming in with 61. There was a gust in the hills above Yachats earlier this evening to about 80. And honorable mention, at least by coastal standards here, 55 miles an hour in Lincoln City, 54, Tierra del Mar, 53 in Astoria. All right, high wind warning continues for the central Oregon coast until 1 o'clock 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, so another hour or two. In the valley, the gusts have not quite met the wind advisory criteria, but we've still gotten to 40 miles an hour on the Abernathy Bridge. That's in the Westland area. Scotts Mills, just east of Salem, 40 miles an hour. A gust in Hillsdale, southwest Portland, about 39. So it's still a pretty windy night out there, and the winds and the rain are going to continue here for a few more hours. You can see radar over the last 3 hours continues to show some really bright yellows and oranges up in the Coast Range, indicative of some heavy rain falling there. And the live scan right now shows a moderate rainfall over downtown Portland. So that will continue over the next 2-3 hours here. And it's a mild night out there as well, 52 degrees. The rain should abruptly shut off. The winds will abruptly die down not too long from now. And we actually get a little lull in the rain action tomorrow before more comes in tomorrow night. I've got that full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. An alarming sound for those living in Depot Bay. This morning, residents reported hearing loud sirens and a public announcement that some said was difficult to make out clearly. It had some believing a tsunami was heading their way. The fire district said that they were flooded with calls about it. According to the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, the sirens appear to have been activated by the city for a high wind warning. The Sheriff's Office says the sirens are intended to be used for all hazards, not specifically tsunamis, and that the city has full control of them. Now, we did reach out to the city about the siren scare, but have not heard back. Turning now to the pandemic, we are following an outbreak at Peace Health Southwest Medical Center in Vancouver. The hospital says 30 patients have tested positive. These patients weren't initially admitted for COVID. They also tested negative when they were first admitted. Peace Health says 6 employees with links to caring for these patients have tested positive themselves. 86 other employees are self-quarantining. Clark County Public Health is working with the hospital to ensure anyone who may have been exposed is notified and that all cases are isolated. An update now on Oregon's fight against COVID-19. Today, the state reported 1,010 new cases and 2 more deaths. The graph that you're looking at shows the number of daily cases. The dotted blue line is the 2-week moving average. And as you can see, that curve has been trending down. That's what we want to see. Since the start of the pandemic, there have been more than 116,000 positive coronavirus cases here in Oregon. The state death toll, sadly, is nearing 1,500. And one of the latest COVID deaths is a man who was incarcerated at Two Rivers Correctional Institution. The DOC says he was between 50 and 60 years old. He's actually the 23rd person in DOC custody to die after testing positive for COVID-19. Now, as for vaccinations here in Oregon, they're still slow going. To date, 190,500 doses of the vaccine have been delivered to sites across the state. According to the Oregon Health Authority, 45,295 people have gotten their first shots. Now to some developing news tonight. Portland police are looking for a man who escaped police custody. His name is David Dallin. He was being held at the Justice Center and somehow escaped from his holding cell around 5:30 this evening. Police say that he was last seen running north wearing a green long-sleeve shirt, blue jeans, and white tennis shoes. Now, Dallin was arrested earlier today. He's a suspect in the attempted murder of Officer Jennifer Pierce. You may remember that she was hit by a car outside a gas station in Southeast on Christmas Eve and broke her pelvis. Police say they don't believe Dallin is a threat to the community, but if anyone sees him or knows where he is, police want you to call 911 and do not approach him. Police are also investigating a shooting that took place in Northeast Portland this afternoon. They say it happened inside an apartment on Sandy Boulevard near 133rd. Right now, we don't know much about the situation. Police do say there's one victim. However, we don't know that person's condition. They say one person has been detained related to the case. We're going to keep you updated on air and online as we learn more. And police are looking for information in a shooting in Southeast that landed one man in the hospital. This one happened in the 200 block of 164th Avenue around 2:45 a.m. New Year's Day. Police say the man shot had serious injuries. We're not sure of his condition tonight. No arrests have been made, and police have not named any suspects. Anyone who may know something should call PPB. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler is calling for tougher penalties for violent protesters. His call for a crackdown comes after a riot was declared in downtown Portland on New Year's Eve. Now, several people were arrested Thursday night, and Mayor Wheeler says he wants those who took part to be held accountable, especially repeat offenders. Christelle Kumwe reports.
A New Year's Eve riot in downtown Portland reportedly caused tens of thousands of dollars of damage. At a press conference Friday, Mayor Ted Wheeler called out those responsible.
Who? Violent Antifa and anarchists.
Authorities say dozens of people vandalized buildings by spray painting them and breaking windows.
Lawlessness and anarchy come at great expense and with great risk to the future of our community.
Some in the group tried to use tools to break into the federal courthouse and Justice Center. Portland Police Chief Chuck Lovell says responding law enforcement officers came under attack.
It was very violent and a very large confrontational group. Met them with Molotov cocktails, rocks, bricks, frozen water bottles.
Now Wheeler wants to crack down on people repeatedly breaking the law.
It's time to push back harder against those who are set on destroying our community.
He committed to 3 changes.
First, I'm calling on our federal, our state, our county, and our local law enforcement partners to convene with me to develop clear plans to address anarchist violence, both here in the city of Portland and throughout the state. This should happen as soon as possible, even as soon as next week.
Next, calling on the state legislature to increase penalties for people who repeatedly engage in criminal destruction and vandalism. Finally, the mayor said people convicted of these crimes should be required to meet with the employees and owners of businesses they damage.
These people need to hear and to understand the social and human consequences of their irresponsible actions.
3 people have so far been arrested for the destruction, vandalism, and attacks on police.
I condemn anyone who engages in violence or criminal destruction, no matter what their ideology.
Christelle Kumwe, KGW News.